Hey YouTube, I was asked to do a wee video last night. It was a live stream, which I got a bit full of the bucky, and can't remember everything, but remember some of it. Someone said I'd do a video on your EBO, so I thought I'd go one better and do a video of my entire Gibson collection. This is my entire Gibson collection. Actually, there's quite a few. I'm going to do a few of these, well at least 4, because I've realised that I've got an entire Epiphone collection, an entire Squire collection, an entire Fender American collection, or an entire Fender collection. So yeah, so here is my oldest guitar. Technically I do have I've got a Sakai that I'm going to sell, like an old sort of, I believe is also badged top 10 or top 20 sort of old guitar from the 60s. But this is my oldest, this is from the 60s as well. This is a 1968 Gibson Ebo. So this is 30-inch scale. I think, if I remember correctly, should use a 30-inch scale. Okay, 30.5-inch scale. Short scale bass. Yeah, so these kind of changed what they look like over the years. I was hunting for one of these. I always wanted an SG bass. I actually bought one of the first Epiphone EBOs ever came out in the country, since the 70s, whenever it is they stopped making the Gibson ones. You didn't really get, you get like Japanese copies, but back in those days you didn't have the internet, so the chances of finding one were pretty low. Yeah, and I bought this off Jimmy Moon, who is a guitar legend guy in Glasgow. Apparently isn't there anymore. Apparently Brian Adams uses his acoustics and builds them. But this, I think what happened with this one was it was in for a repair at some point, and it probably sat in the shop for 5 years, and the guy never came up, and I think I paid the repair bill on it. That's how I can afford a 1968 Gibson. Yeah, so at some point this has had a Stratocaster pickup in it. I just cut a bit of scratch plate and filled the hole. I was actually thinking I might. It's got screw holes kind of all the way around the outside. At some point I think this has had a handmade scratch plate, which probably incorporated this pickup. The scratch plate, at the time I wasn't sure exactly which model it is, and I bought a 1961 or 1962 or something Gibson scratch plate. To be honest, I think the guy made a mistake on eBay. I think I paid like £3 for it or something like that. And whatever the model it came from isn't quite the same, must have a bigger pickup. So I just cut another bit of the same, probably the same scratch plate I cut for that to fill in this gap, so there's a bit of a hole there, but it's got a scratch plate. Got the original wee brass slot head screws on it as well. The bridge is the original one. If you look up the 68 model, which this is, it's got this bridge, but there's another bit that fits in below it. So it's not complete. It's got all the bits it needs. So there's like a lever thing that brings up a foam spongy thing up here for muting it, which you just don't really get on basses anymore, but back then that's one of the things it used to do. Also I think it had a cover that clipped over the top, which this doesn't have, but it is the original bridge. Nylon saddles. Not the best bridge in the world, but it's original, so I'm keeping it. Got the original Mudbucker pickup. I think either the volume or the tone is the original one, and the other one was a replacement because it was broken when I got it. Original tuners. Serial number is 519395, which when you type it in, it doesn't. I just haven't typed it in since I got this, basically. But the reason I know it's a 68 is because in 67 it had a different type of bridge, and in 69 it had a different type of bridge. So it's kind of, it has to be one of the prettier looking ones, I think. Oh, sorry. I'll turn all these things down. I just keep forgetting to do it. Right. So hopefully there'll be no more. Just turn that off. Of the 3 beeps I get whenever anyone does it, I've got my computer, my phone, and my laptop. Come on. Not want to just close it. Right, that'll turn it off. Yeah. So no more beeps. Yeah. So 68 Gibson. It's in pretty beat up condition. I'm not really sure how to clean it. It's like a nitro finish, so when you try and polish it, it somehow gets cloudier, and then I'm not obviously using any chemical things in case it melts it or something like that. But yeah, so it's a wee bit of buckle rash in the back, and somewhere in the back of the neck. Let's be honest. I think some elements of the tuner have been replaced. So if you notice that the big screw on the back of two of them is a different colour from the other two, so I think that maybe that was what it was getting done when Jimmy Moon had it. He maybe sorted the tuners. But I think the other original tuners, they turn the wrong way, which is really annoying. So what you would normally do to tighten up, it actually loosens it off, which is fine, you just get used to it, but if you just go, oh, hold on, quick way adjustment, it goes the wrong way. My Schecter, one of my Schecter P-Bases does that as well. I think that's maybe a vintage correct thing or something like that. So I'll play some noise through it, it's just a volume and a tone. I'm thinking with this other pickup, I didn't want to drill any more holes to put more knobs in, but there's already a hole there for a pickup, so I was just thinking about this earlier on when I was cleaning it up. These strings are hideous. I wire wooled them and had polished them to try and make them less bad, which is disgusting having a bass like this and not actually just putting strings on. I've got strings sitting there, I'm just pure mean. But I was thinking I could maybe put a push-pull pot in on whatever one of these pots isn't the original one, and maybe knock like a single coil in series with this, or maybe just have it on in parallel. I'd never really thought of that before, thinking, oh, you'd want to be able to choose the pickup, but actually just having EBO and then having another option, seeing as there's already a gap there for one. I mean, to be honest, I kind of like the fact to just get one pickup anyway. Got a unique sound, these. The Epiphone one I had, I really didn't like at the time at all. It could have been a setup issue, because I've since then got I got one last year or the year before, one with an Epiphone with a broken neck, and I fixed it, painted it like Geezer Butlers, and ended up gigging with it because, or doing the one gig we managed to do, because it was actually pretty good. But the one I had before was awful. It was a really bad guitar, but that could it could have maybe the truss rod needed adjusted, or whatever it was that was wrong with it. Such as the things when you're, I don't know, 18 or something, when I sold it, or 19, whatever it was. Yeah, so playing through up to my bass rig a little bit. I'm now playing through the B150, 150 watt with a 15-inch speaker, but I've since put an extension socket on the back, so I'm now using this 4x10 as well. So I'm not really exactly sure how these things worked. I got the guy from Frettronics in Glasgow, lovely guy. I messaged him and asked him if it was easy to put an extension socket on, and he kind of drew me a diagram in the back of a fag packet, or it wasn't a fag packet, but you know what I mean, with a bit of paper. And so I did that. So I'm now running through this. I don't understand how amps work. My pal Buster's bass guitars, I'll put a link down below. I always say that and keep forgetting. Check him out. He's got a Laney amp he's got, and he's like, it says on it like it's 150 watts or something like that, and if you use the extension cabinet, it makes it a 300 watt cabinet, whereas this one apparently it's 150 watts when you're just using the internal speaker, and when you put it into this as well, it's still 100. It's like 75 watt that speaker and 75 watt that speaker. I don't really understand that. It seems louder. It's much louder because, you know, you're moving. Obviously, I'm using 5 speakers instead of 1, so it's moving more air. Don't understand the complexities involved in that, but I think it's quite handy. It means that if I'm doing a gig with that amp, which I've now obviously gigging this amp's great, but you have to. It does fit in my car. I have to fold the seats down, stuff like that. In fact, actually, to get it to fit, I have to take the back seat out. It doesn't fit by that if I fold the seats down, whereas that one just sits on the back seat. And it's got wheels and it's got the band logo on it, so kind of using that, and I'm figuring if there is an amp or a speaker cabinet at a gig, I can run it through that and whatever speaker cabinet is there, which should be nice. Apparently there's no problem if you've got like a solid state power section. Apparently if you've got like valves and you don't want to be messing about with putting different types of speaker cabinets in without doing major surgery. So that's pick up 1, and then if I turn the tone all the way down, in here I think maybe a bit more tone. So I've always thought that this sounded awful, but it just doesn't sound like a P bass. I think if depending on what it is you're trying to do, I tried it in Sabbath band and it actually sounded pretty good. It's dead muddy, but it's still got lots of punch. If that makes sense. So I just should maybe stand a bit more over here because the mic's pointing over here, so the drums are probably coming through louder than the bass. I was just trying to make it so that it didn't just overload the mic with all the wafting of air that's coming from it. I used to just use an AB pedal, and I found I knew I had it. It was in a box somewhere. I found it a couple of weeks ago and put it in. And my main thinking was it's got a light on it, which tells you which amp's on. But it's also it's got a both amps at the same time thing, so I can now run A and B. That's it coming through the guitar amp as well. So currently I'm playing through 8 speakers. More is better, but that means I can put fuzz on the guitar side and then bass on that side. So the bass still stays the same. So which is actually only a couple of weeks ago since I made the stereo baritone guitar out of a guitar that looks like this, an old Avon bass, for doing that exact thing. But in that one I suppose technically you can have well, not technically, you can put the neck pickup through the bass amp and the guitar pickup through the guitar amp, and you've got volumes to mix between them. This is obviously just sticking them both into the amps at the same time, but I really like the way you don't lose the bass. Just a guitar amp on its own now. Again, it's hot stuff in it. My new octave fuzz pedal. Give it a little bit more boost. into my entire Gibson collection. I went to an SG, did a video, I'm not really going to talk about this, I did a video this a couple of weeks ago. This is the one I've got. I've normally got hanging on the wall. It'll be going back up there once I've taken that Westone down, just so that when I'm demoing guitar, people go, oh, he's got a Gibson. I've got to turn on the... Really great high fret access on my first pedal. A new one. Definitely, I like that Delamo pedal, that's what I'm on now. That E doesn't seem in tune. Can't get away from hot stuff. It's stupid that I get for learning some of these things that are happening to you. back onto a bit more normal distortion-y type sound. Yeah, so I didn't really talk about this, but I suppose maybe you didn't watch my video if you're still here. Yeah, so this is a 90s one. I could never make out the serial number. It was always a bit sort of below the paint, and then I dropped this and broke the headstock, and I got it clamped, and then I painted the headstock red to sort of hide the damage a bit, and that made the paint even thicker, which made it even harder to read the serial number. Don't really care really when it's from. There was an era when these were made, when you only got a special and a standard, and it's got an ebony fingerboard, so that kind of puts it as early 90s, I think. I really love the neck pickup. It's one of the best neck pickups I've ever heard. It just I've never been that impressed with the tuners on these. It is the Gibson Deluxe, sort of Cluson style ones. I do have Scholler upgrades, but I had a what was the guitar was? It was my West Tone Clipper 6, which is a sort of Telecaster-y thing. I had it came without any hardware on it at all, so I put like black Chinese tuners on it, and then I ended up getting a guitar that had Grovers on it, so I ended up swapping them over, and it totally changed the guitar. It just, by putting Grovers on instead of the lightweight tuners, it made it neck heavy, and I really need to change it back. The guitar kind of just lost some of its. I don't know. The guitar didn't seem as good. Obviously, it stayed in tune. Well, better. It was nicer turning the tuners basically, and it looks better. But just having that little bit extra weight on it just can make an awesome guitar just not quite as awesome as it was. So I need to go back into that and put other tuners on it. That's why I've not upgraded the tuners on this. There was a time I was going to, when I got those Scholler ones, which I've still got in my parts box, not yet found a use for them, I was going to put these ones on my Epiphone and put Schollers on this, but the Epiphone ones are different. These have like, see the clamp on the front? Not the clamp, there's like a bolt on here, point to it. That's the bit that always comes loose. See how it's actually gone vintagey looking, the way all those lines on the headstock. They weren't there when I got this. They weren't there, and I didn't notice them until I moved here. That whatever it was, something to do with the temperature change, has made it go like that, which makes it look vintage. Well, it is vintage. It's 90s. It's 30 years old or something, coming up for 30 years old. But I do like that SG, and it's like, I've said this many times, every time I brought it out, I don't have any other SGs. I've never bought another one because I just got the one I wanted. But I was 20, something like that. I decided that once I could play all the War Pigs, I would buy myself a real Gibson SG, and then one just happened to come up in Victor Morris cheap, and it's like, right, that's it. And in fact, it's red, which is quite rare now. You don't see very many red ones. I don't think they make them anymore. At the time, I would have been, if there was an option for like the cherry one, I would have taken the cherry one, but they're all cherry. Whereas this one's red. That I thought was pretty cool. So this is the one that when I do my next trade Tuesday, which is going to happen once we got lifted the lockdown thing. Someone was asking me about that last night as well, saying, "Are you going to do it for amps?" And it's like, I'm just not that into amps. You can't move them about. I'm quite happy just having my wee Laney, which I'm playing through here, and the 3x12 cabinet. And for the bass, I've got two massive amps. I've got like a 60 watt gigging JCM 800 type thing made at Submarine Parts, and the 3x12 for gigging, smashing, and then I've got that for in the house, which I'm using to the 3x12 because 3's better than 1. And then I've got that for in here and for small gigs, and this for when we're playing a 2-hour set at a festival, basically. To lift that behemoth, which is an absolute ton, is a nightmare. But I don't really do anything with the amps. It's the same with like the pedals is getting ridiculous as well. I mean, my pedal board's pure huge. Look at all the things on it, and it's like, I don't use anything. It's like, I've been using the fuzz pedals because they're new. But there's a whole line of all these ones up here in front of the amp. I never turn them on. Turn the face on. and delay. So phaser and delay, I never use them. Yeah, so part of the reason for that is I'm kind of demoing guitars, so I figure everyone's got plays their guitar, they've got like a sort of clean just into an amp and then a sort of distortion. So if you've got all those things on, you're not really hearing the guitar very much. I'll maybe one day I'll learn pedals and end up liking them. Girlfriend was slagging me off for calling me a pedal guy. It's like, you're totally not a pedal guy, I don't like them, but I've got a big wodge of things, so I think it's something like 20 all connected up. But the thing is, like, it's handy having them there, and it's like, see if they had them in a box and I had to bring it out and put it on, maybe different if I was recording, they would just stay in the box, whereas at least there, if I ever do fancy turning it on, which is very, very, very rarely, they're there ready to go, and they're in a loop thing, so they're not all these extra ones aren't affecting the sound in it. I've got a loop pedal that, you know, and a battery bypass loop thing. So yeah, got a cool guitar to do tomorrow. I'm just about to fix up now, a West Tone Thunder 2. Quite looking forward to it. I've been building a bass today, but the drills ran out, the battery and the drills ran out, so it's on charge just now. I thought I'll just churn this out just now. So this is the first of 4 complete collections. Complete collections being my 2 Gibsons, a bass and a guitar. Funnily enough, the other collections are very similar to this. Not really mean it. I didn't intentionally have like a bass and a guitar, or a Gibson and a bass and a guitar with a Fender, but that's how it went. I'm not doing I can't really do the West Tone and the Washburn. The Washburn, that's not even a complete collection. You can see like 5, there's more than that. So those are longer videos. Rock on, catch you later. And if I meant to look to see how many subscribers I was very close to 1700. So if you've not subscribed, if you do it now, you might be the 1700th one, which will be awesome. That's it. Thanks very much. Catch you later.